What up, everybody? We got here the one and only Bryce McKinley.
Coach Sharpen, you know what time it is.
Excited to have you, bro. Excited to have you. But what is the message to the world, especially right now, the end time?
I mean, it's so vague, right? But if there was one message, it would be trust Jesus, right? Why would I say that? I've got many reasons. I could speak to what I've seen him do in other people's lives. I could tell you about what I've read in the Bible. I could tell you about what he did in my life, right? Where he rescued a broken, strung out, dope dealing gangbanger, put him in a corporate position with no felony convictions after facing 2 counts of murder, drug trafficking, and conspiracy, to travel the world and tell people how to make money. And after being at the top, falling back down to the bottom, I faced alcohol addiction, drug addiction, being a single parent. After losing a child to murder, wife to a homicide, I decided one day I had enough, and I put a pistol in my mouth. And I said, if you're real, bro, show up. And I'll never forget the night, Springfield Armory 40 cal XD. They don't jam. But that night, it jammed 3 times in my mouth. And that was the night I said, God, I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm in. And over the last, 14 and a half years, slowly getting to know who he is versus who I thought he was, just royally changed my life.
You actually beat my question there, because my question, I was reading Revelation 12 on the way here, and it says that we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so that was going to be my question to you, to be bold and share your testimony, but you already did. So
it's super important because, especially with believers, right? I hate labeling people Christians because nowadays most people are not Christ-like and yet claim to be a Christian, and they get that verse hung up. We're overcomers by the blood of the Lamb, and they forget about the rest of it.
Yeah, you got to share. You got to share what Jesus has done in your life.
Yeah, you've got to share. You woke up this morning. You've got to share. You had that bill paid that you didn't think was going to get paid. You have to share because somebody else in a similar situation could be affected, and you have an opportunity to make change in that person's life, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the power in the testimony, and I could go into the Greek etymology behind the word, but it's the spoken word in the testimony. And so, I'd be recluse not to.
Well, I appreciate your boldness and your courage.
Last question before we let him go. But what do you think about the No Kings protest that's going on?
You see me driving really slow in circles around them. Like, I was trying not to laugh, and I was actually praying for them because, gosh, if they really lived in a kingdom under a king's rule, they wouldn't even have the ability to do what they're doing. And yet they're so ignorant to even think that we live in a dictatorship or we live in a form of what they're calling fascism, when in the last 5 years, we've been told no king, but you got to wear a mask. No king, but you've got to go one way in a grocery line aisle. No king, but you got to take this jab. No king, you got to take these other 12,398 jabs behind it, right? They're sitting here holding up signs of voicing an opinion of something that they have no idea about because they've been watching this over and over and over, right? And so to me, it kind of breaks my heart because they're human. I laugh because humans are just dumb. Like, they tend to not study. They tend to just follow people, and they see something repeated over and over in the news, or they see something repeated over and over from their friends at school, and don't go and do their own research, don't go and do their own homework. And so to me, it kind of breaks my heart. And at the same time, it's like, that's the world we're living in. And God's coming back any day now. He said he'd be coming back when the days were like they were with Noah. I don't know what it was like when it was with Noah, but I know when I look around and I see the beautiful buildings and structures that we have, and yet the fornication and adultery that we see right over there, we don't even know it because they're living it in secret, and yet it's just rampant.
Yeah.
And then to the extreme, to the other side of that, publicly, pornography and books that are inappropriate in our schools, like, it's right in your face. And yet, how many times have you tried to stop somebody in the few minutes I've been here, and they're like, no, I've got opinions I don't want to be on. But yet people will voice their opinions on something they're not even educated on. It's scary, and yet it makes you want to pray.
What is the message to the world that you have for them right now?
Trust Jesus.
Trust the Lord, and He will direct your steps. Bro, thank you so much for coming out.
That Rodriguez show, yeah, that Rodriguez show, yeah.